adjustment disorder on just about everybody. that goes to on all the forms I send in that go to MSP.
You're a psychiatrist.
Yeah, I don't
not
trust
like
it.
he's got every sort of adjustment.
Yeah, everybody has an adjustment disorder.
It's pretty true, isn't it?
I have other things as well in my chart. To go to MSP, that's what they do.
It sounds like the dissemination of the information that we're sending to them is being increased, the dissemination through the social agencies and the ministries.
That's the intention. It hasn't happened yet, right? It just,
So maybe
it
we should
just
start
got
doing
charity.
this. Maybe we should start doing this now, using more generalized codes and say psychiatric diagnosis.
And I don't think the billing database, I think we need to be thinking about what gets built and how it gets built. And certainly building the perimeter around information in our offices and realizing that there really isn't any reason for anything more than what we used to leave.
Well, often when I'm looking at a diagnostic code, why does MSP really need to know that? They don't really need to know that. Yes, I'm a good boy and I do what I'm told, and I try, and I think, well, maybe they're going to use it for some kind of ulterior health motive, but I don't think they really do. And now I'm becoming much more cynical about politicians in general and how they are wanting to amass this information. And I'm thinking, it's not really their business. I mean, yeah, okay.
I think they have, everybody's good people, and every time I meet everyone involved, I think everybody's good people who has good intentions and they want to help manage the system better. So they do want to know things like how many diabetics are there and how many this and that. But they don't need any more detail than those numbers. So if I want to, query my database, I can send them a summary report of how many this is or that, or what, we have the data to identify the needs. They don't have to hold it. So I believe everybody's intentions are good. And very often when they ask data collection questions, I feel like it's the same as me ordering a lab test. I have to think, how is having this answer going to change what I do? So, and I haven't really ever gotten good answers on, okay, we already know we don't have enough psychiatric services or something. How is more detail going to change what you do? And if you can answer that, by all means, let's distribute the database query and give a clear and articulate answer to that question that is going to change your system management. Because we can create the capacity to do that with real-time data aggregation. But all too often, it's we want to have a pile of data in the closet to rummage through as we see fit, and we never even get to see it or learn from it or understand the analyses it's subjected to. So I understand the need that I think very often the questions need to be better articulated, and if they are, a different data architecture can still achieve that end. But it looks different and they often.
They were over-reading and incorrectly reading the diagnostic data that we sent in the H1N1 epidemic. They were releasing how many patient visits to family doctors were for flu, yet they didn't tell us that before they did it, and a lot of those visits were people who thought they had flu but didn't, and we were coding them as flu, but they didn't have it.
No, so the billing data isn't that good. And we have better data in our charts, but we don't have to send it for central storage to answer the questions. We can drill into the databases and send the summary report. It doesn't have to go in the middle. Yeah.
As the person who wrote the prototype for the National Diabetes Surveillance System, which is premised on the use of administrative data, followed by taking Blanchard in Manitoba, one of the uses that we do use the billing data for, and now the pharmacare data and soon perhaps lab data, is for building incidence and prevalence measures and related measures for chronic diseases. And the challenge, and I can speak to two issues here. One is the challenge of distributed query model, which is I go and ask your computer system how many diabetics you have, and I go and ask the next person, is the issue of longevity and tracking. And so if you have a patient who's moving across multiple practices, if you want to be able to build longitudinal profiles, you need that structure. And BC, I think, has done a reasonably good job with the new population data center of isolating nominal information from non-nominal information, anonymizing encryption security. So I think there is a role for a place that has longitudinal records centrally contained. And I think if you look at the large body of literature in the population health area across Canada that is premised on access to administrative data, then I think that challenges your thesis that there's been no value. I think there's been considerable value there. But your cautions are well taken. And I'll segue from that to say it therefore behooves OSCAR, if it intends to be a model for locally held data, distributed questions, these kind of things, to be on the side of the angels when it comes to issues around security, password integrity, encryption, redundancy. And for example, I'm not at the moment convinced that's the case. So if you look at the installation protocol that's on the web for OSCAR, it says, oh, you might like to do encryption for your backups. That shouldn't be, if you get a chance, that should be the first thing you do.
Yeah, I think that's being addressed. There's one thing that's being looked at right now is the charter,